For more than a decade, cloud computing felt like an unstoppable force. Revenue growth consistently outpaced expectations. Enterprises rushed to migrate workloads. Startups were born entirely in the cloud. Investors treated hyperscale providers as structural growth engines with seemingly endless runway. But in 2026, something subtle yet important is happening. Cloud growth is starting to normalize. This doesn't mean the cloud is shrinking. It doesn't mean demand is disappearing. It means the hyper-accelerated adoption phase is transitioning into a more mature, measured stage. And that shift says more about the success of cloud computing than its weakness. The first reason for normalization is penetration. Over the past 10 to 15 years, enterprises across nearly every sector migrated core systems to the cloud. Email, collaboration tools, customer relationship platforms, data storage, analytic systems. Much of the low-hanging fruit has already moved. In the early stages of a technology cycle, growth is fueled by migration. Once migration reaches critical mass, growth shifts to optimization and expansion. That naturally slows headline growth rates. Second, companies are no longer moving to the cloud at any cost. During the earlier rush, speed was the priority. Businesses wanted flexibility, scalability, and remote accessibility. In many cases, cost management came later. Now CFOs are paying close attention. FinOps, financial operations focused specifically on cloud spending, has become a formal discipline. Enterprises are auditing usage, eliminating idle resources, renegotiating contracts, and optimizing workloads. They are choosing reserved capacity agreements and fine-tuning compute consumption. Optimization improves efficiency, but it moderates growth. Another major factor is macroeconomic caution. Over the past few years, businesses have shifted from aggressive expansion to disciplined capital allocation. Even large enterprises are scrutinizing IT budgets more closely. Instead of scaling infrastructure preemptively, they are aligning cloud spending directly with measurable revenue impact. Cloud usage is still rising, but it is rising more deliberately. The pandemic surge also distorted expectations. During remote work transitions, cloud demand spiked dramatically. Video conferencing, collaboration tools, digital services, and e-commerce accelerated simultaneously. Growth during those years was extraordinary, but extraordinary growth creates high comparison baselines. As operations normalized and emergency scaling subsided, growth rates naturally moderated. That moderation is not decline. It is recalibration. There is also a structural shift toward hybrid strategies. Not all workloads benefit equally from public cloud environments. Some enterprises are repatriating certain workloads back on premises for cost control or performance reasons. Others are adopting hybrid models that balance public cloud with private infrastructure. Hybrid architectures distribute growth, rather than concentrating it solely within hyperscalers. Artificial intelligence introduces both acceleration and restraint. AI workloads require significant compute resources, often hosted in the cloud. Training and inference demand scale that only hyperscalers can easily provide. However, AI is also capital-intensive. Large enterprises and technology companies are increasingly investing in specialized internal AI infrastructure, rather than relying exclusively on shared public cloud services. This internalization offsets some potential cloud growth acceleration. Pricing dynamics also play a role. As cloud providers compete for enterprise contracts, long-term agreements, volume discounts, and custom pricing structures become more common. Revenue growth becomes steadier and more predictable rather than explosive. Cloud is transitioning from a rapid land grab phase to a margin-focused phase. Importantly, normalization is a hallmark of maturity. Early-stage industries grow rapidly because they are capturing new markets. Mature industries grow steadily because they are embedded in daily operations. Cloud computing is now foundational. Startups continue to build cloud-native from day one. Enterprises still migrate legacy systems. Emerging technologies like AI, real-time analytics, Internet of Things platforms, and edge computing depend heavily on scalable infrastructure. The difference is that cloud adoption is no longer experimental. It is expected. When infrastructure becomes expected, it behaves more like a utility than a growth anomaly. Utilities grow steadily. They expand capacity, improve efficiency, and generate recurring revenue. They do not double overnight. Investors are adjusting expectations accordingly. Rather than focusing solely on percentage growth rates, attention is shifting toward operating margins, AI monetization strategies, enterprise contract stability, and long-term recurring revenue strength. Cloud providers are emphasizing profitability and disciplined expansion over headline acceleration. Why cloud growth is starting to normalize ultimately reflects a broader truth about technology cycles. No technology sustains hypergrowth forever. Once adoption reaches saturation in core markets, expansion becomes incremental rather than exponential. That does not make it weaker. In fact, normalization can signal durability. A mature cloud market means infrastructure is deeply integrated into global business operations. Companies depend on it, not because it is new, but because it is essential. In 2026, cloud computing is not fading. It is maturing. The dramatic growth of the past decade built the digital backbone of modern business. The next phase is about refining that backbone, optimizing costs, integrating AI workloads thoughtfully, balancing hybrid strategies, and sustaining reliable performance. Growth